Welcome to OreoOlive.com. As you know, Oreo and olives don't mix, but the abstract thought of putting those two words together has enlightened me to create a channel to discuss various topics. And on the channel today, I want to talk about a very familiar topic that we should definitely most be familiar with based on what we see a lot of times online, just through general conversation with people and what we see out in the general public. But the question remains that is dysfunction in our culture entertaining us or eroding us? And one of the comments I did receive on one of the other videos was the person didn't have enough context. And there shouldn't have to be enough context for a question that is very open ended in the sense that we know exactly what we're talking about. And if you could ever take the time to stop and just ask yourself, is dysfunction we see every day really just entertainment, or is it slowly eroding us to who we actually are? These are the pressing questions that we must ask. But today, I want to most definitely give you the opportunity to open your eyes so that we can look at this together, not to shame, but to learn, reflect, and to grow from this particular type of opportunity that we have out here. Now, the question that you must ask yourself, and I want you all to keep this in mind, okay? We do want you to think about this. What is cultural dysfunction? When we look at cultural dysfunction, there's a couple things that we most definitely need to put out. Dysfunction, we know, means that it's damaging behaviors becoming normalized. That means we are taking something that is so much in the negative that what we see and it's beginning to be popular in our eyes on social media and it's beginning to be normalized as normal behavior, and it is not. And this could be chaotic scenes that are being caused by people getting outrageous online, shouting matches between people that are in relationships, broken families. It's not just any um, just specific thing. It definitely has to be something bad. But dysfunction means that the patterns that are with it does damage to the people and the communities. It definitely creates the broken families. It's glorified disrespect because we see it so much, and it's definitely a problem. It's even glorified violence. It's glorified selfishness. But with these patterns that we have where they repeat to one another, they stop looking abnormal and they start feeling normal. For example, you have women out here that will not only argue with a man, but they will be ready to fight a man. That is a form of dysfunction. You have little boys now growing up thinking it's okay to talk to a woman and call her out of her name and all kinds of words because they see their uncles do it. That's a dysfunction. But I want you to look at it this way. You know, in your head, picture that you are able to provide a new idea. You're basically able to draw this picture in your head growing of a plant that's growing into and within polluted soil. What do you think that that will turn out to be? And how we look at this is that dysfunction becomes entertainment in various ways. And when we look at this, look at your classic TV shows that I always like to talk about from the 90s. The Cosby Show, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Family Matters. When you look at these shows, you see positivity. You see them talking about life problems that normal people go through and how they resolve their problems. What you see is the mother and father in the home with the children. When you look on modern TV right now, and I can remember the Real Wives of Atlanta shows used to come on back in the day, but it started to become a trend where you started seeing modern reality TV turn into viral arguments, and it was a lot of profanity that was going on. It was single women, single men. It was everybody was just single doing their own thing. And we didn't get here overnight. This is something that's been cooked up over the course of years. Because when you go back decades ago, what you would see is you would see the TV used to uplift people, showing families overcoming problems together and problems with love. Think about the episode where Will in Fresh Prince had the opportunity to reconnect with his father, and his father didn't show back up, and Uncle Phil was there for him because he was like a father figure in his life. Yes, indeed, he did come from a single mother home, and his father left. Will's uncle didn't let him fall astray. His mother did what she knew best, and she sent her son to live with her sister, who had the institution of family, who had a husband that was doing very well, and she knew that he would get a good education, that he would grow out from what he would have turned into something much more better. But today's dysfunction is rewarded a lot of times and many times on YouTube with views, clicks, and fame. Why is that? Because the drama is what triggers stronger emotional reactions, and the algorithm feeds and keeps you engaged. Imagine if I jumped on here on the YouTube and just started creating content that was such a negative way. I would have been way more popular years ago. And it's not my goal to come onto the channel. My goal to come onto the channel is to be able to send a shock value into people, to change their way of thinking, and get them to look at it on a better way, that we don't have to be this particular way that the world wants us to be. But we have to really understand that there's a hidden cost of being entertained by dysfunction, because we will sit here and we will show couples arguing in broken homes. We think that it's okay, instead of showing families laughing and community events that's trying to better the neighborhood, or even peaceful relationships, not only among family, but within neighbors. Most people don't even want to know their neighbors because they operate in dysfunction. But at what cost? When dysfunction becomes entertainment in this particular world that we live in, it shapes our identity. It shapes the way that relationships begin to suffer. It also affects the mental health of people, and that begins to suffer, and communities lose trust. And communities go from communities to neighborhoods or hoods. But is the content that you consume building you or breaking you down? And sometimes I begin to think that people like to stay broken. They like to stay broken down because we have to figure out a way how to break the cycle. I would much rather choose a way for people to be able to uplift themselves through uplifting content that's showing something positive, like people volunteering or spending their time with their family, rather than showing something that's bad. Because the good news is we can change this story. All of us have a different story. If you mind your own consumption of what you consume, what you watch shapes how you think. The type of people that you hang around determines how far that you will go. Your support and positivity begins to build up the way that other creators begin to create content online that share stories for people where they can heal. Because what's much more better? Somebody faking the funk and showing you dysfunction, or somebody who's being very, very truthful and showing you who they actually are? If you should ever meet that person out in the public, will they be that actual way? Because we have a lot of models that show a better way, but what we see is people looking at dysfunction, and then have to also look at it as this is an opportunity to basically teach people by what you live, than by what you say. But I want you to reflect. I want you to reflect. I mean, imagine closing your eyes, listening to soft music, and you just see these questions just scrolling through your mind. And I want you to take a moment to ask yourself a couple things. I want you to be very, very truthful to yourself because this is what you need to hear. What kind of content do I consume most? When you wake up in the morning, before some of you even brush your teeth or wash your face or put on deodorant, or better yet, before some of you even take a bath or a shower or however that you clean yourself, what kind of content do you consume the most? How does it make you feel about your life, the relationships that you're in, and the community that you call yourself pouring back into? Think about this. Are you feeling dysfunction without realizing it? Look at how the way people dress when they go outside. Look how people respond. Go out to eat and sit and just watch people and just watch how people respond to one another. What can I do differently starting today? That is you. What can you do today that will make it change completely? But I want you to think about this as we move into a closing. Think about powerful images of growing families together and successful individuals. And this transcends into relationships eventually down the line. But culture isn't something that we inherit, it's something that we are able to create. That is what we are supposed to do by what we celebrate, what we excuse, and what we support. But let's choose to be builders and not just takers. Let's make sure that we're not just entertaining, but we should not be looking at something that's entertaining us, but what's actually destroying us. Think about it. If you are so committed to building a better culture, and this can go for anybody on this planet, I want you to definitely look at planting that seed within your community and start growing something better together. And it doesn't even have to have anything to do with money. It's the way in what we put out there and what we know that we want to provide back into the world that's out here. Everything is not going to be peaches and cream, it will be work. But how can we change that? Next time you go into the store, just stop and have a random conversation with somebody and just talk with them, just get to know them, even though if they don't look like you or even look the same color as you. We can most definitely change that. So let's start growing something to get it much better. All right. Can you at least do that? So like, listen, subscribe to the channel, OreoOlive.com. Look forward to bringing more content to you soon.